Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Chris Weidenbar, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Rebecca Piper. We are honoured to acknowledge Rear Admiral Louis C. Tripoli, Medical Corps, US Navy Command Surgeon, US Pacific Command, United States of America this evening. We also warmly welcome a delegation from the 3rd Class Royal Military College Duntroon who are in attendance this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to Memorial and by students on behalf of the King's Preparatory School, North Parramatta from New South Wales. I now ask you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bain, Australia's first World War official historian. Bain landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bain's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway lands. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured for us and what they have done for us. Bain's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. Tonight, but first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Arthur Fish. Arthur Fish was born in 1897 in Colac, Victoria, the eldest son of Richard and Elizabeth Fish. While Arthur was still young, the Fish family moved to Port Fairy on the Victorian southwest coast, where he attended the local state school, completed 2 years service as a senior cadet, and later worked as a grazier. Fish enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in November 1917 and soon began training with the reinforcements of the 57th Infantry Battalion at the Broadmeadows camp near Melbourne. In late February 1918, he sailed with his unit from Melbourne aboard the transport ship Nestor and arrived in Liverpool, England, early in April. He began training with the 14th Training Battalion on the Salisbury Plain and was promoted to the rank of acting corporal. On the 20th of June 1918, Fish was admitted to the military hospital in Sutton Veny, suffering from influenza. This period of illness left him in hospital for a month, and when he returned to training duties in July, he reverted to the rank of private. In late August, he sailed from England for France and the war on the Western Front. He joined his unit, the 57th Infantry Battalion, for the first time, as they were resting and training behind the lines near Peronne on the Somme River, a town that had been the site of bitter fighting only 1 week earlier. Fish and the 57th Battalion spent much of September behind the front lines in the Somme area, but towards the end of the month, they began moving to the forward areas in preparation for a major Australian assault. On the 28th, they came under German high explosive and artillery bombardment near Cologne Farm, as they moved into position for Lieutenant General Sir John Monash's attack on the Saint-Quentin Canal, which was planned to begin on the 29th of September. The joint Australian and American attack was designed to break through the Hindenburg Line, a complex series of German defensive positions, which on this sector of the front were protected by waterways and deep tunnel system. Fish's unit formed part of the southern edge of the Australian attack and successfully took the village of Bellicourt at the mouth of the Saint-Quentin Canal. The attack was a success for the Australian and American forces, but came at the cost of over 2,500 Australian casualties. The attack on Saint-Quentin Canal was the last battle fought by the 57th Battalion, and Fish would take part in no further fighting during the war. On the 11th of November 1918, he was in France for the armistice that brought the war to end all wars to an end. Just 11 days after the armistice, however, Fish was taken to the 3rd Australian General Hospital in France, suffering from conjunctivitis. His condition soon deteriorated, and in December he was transferred to England, to the War Hospital at Exeter, suffering from bronchopneumonia. In February 1919, after a brief treatment in hospital at Sutton Veny on the Salisbury Plain, his condition appeared to be improving, and he was granted a leave of absence. Less than a week later, however, he was again hospitalised, this time at the City of London Military Hospital at Clapton. In mid-March, he cabled his parents to tell them that he thought he was getting better, but his condition soon deteriorated, and he was sent to the 4th London General Hospital, reported to be dangerously ill, suffering the effects of influenza and meningitis. On the 23rd of March, he slipped into a coma, and on the 31st of March 1919, he died of his illnesses. He was 21 years old and died 5 months after the end of the First World War. He is buried in the Brookwood Military Cemetery in the United Kingdom, where over 1,600 casualties of the First World War now lie. Private Arthur Fisher's name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right among the 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Arthur Fish, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bain. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.